Big Stills National Football Show. I'm going to get to Howie Roseman here in a minute. Please hit the like button. And we so appreciate you guys coming aboard. By the way, I have a question for you Philly sports fans and you Philadelphia sports fans. I thought Scott Rowland hated the Phillies in Philadelphia. Why are you honoring him and putting him into your wall of honor with the Phillies? He doesn't consider himself a Philly. He considers himself a Cardinal. Why are you honoring him? Why? Because he's going to the Hall of Fame? Not me, dude. I'm not honoring anybody who hated his time in Philadelphia and saying that you belong with the great baseball players in the history of that franchise. You hated being a Philly, and yet you're honoring him? What kind of mentality is that? I thought you had some backbone. I thought you had some cannolis to not go with just the crowd. What the hell is that? Scott Rowland hated being a Philly, okay, who typically makes those type of decisions. It's got to be the owner. It's got to be, I don't think the general manager, I don't think Dave Dombrowski made that call. Dude, Scott Rowland hated Philly, and you're honoring him? That'd be like honoring Ben Simmons. I mean, it'd be like having a Carson Wentz night at Lincoln Financial. Hey, Carson, thank you so much. Shit, Carson actually makes more sense because he at least did win a Super Bowl ring. At least, how about this? Everyone would hate it. At least you'd go like this. Hey, listen, the guy sucked in the end, but he was on that Super Bowl team. Tell me that, hey, see, one thing I've started to understand something about the Philadelphia sports fan, you kind of think like me. Watch this. Okay, I hate the guy, but he did win a ring. He was on that team, and he did have an MVP that particular season. He sucked in the end, but hey, okay. Do I want to give him a night? No. But the team felt it? I don't know. Okay, probably hate it. Right? That's how we all would feel about it. We would all go, yeah, but see, there's at least, well, he did win a ring. That's right, man. Eagles aren't going to put a guy. Do you think they would, like, honor Orlando Scandridge? Do you think they would honor him now after all the shit he talked about on the Eagle organization? Do you think they would honor him? Come on, man. Scott Rowland. Even I know from a guy from 35,000 feet who loves all sports knows that guy hated his time in Philly. Hated his time in Philly. Said it publicly, hated his time in Philly. But the Phillies are going to honor him? Whew, man, ain't too many things going right for that organization this year. That's one of them. I was like, how did that guy get on the wall? You don't have to be very special, or you could just take a shit on your fans. I don't know. That's taking a shit on your fans. Or how about this? Maybe not so much that. That's like not knowing the room. You know, that's like, dude, he hated us. And we hated him. Yeah, but he was a great player. So what? So what? Dude, Steve Carlton hated everybody. Hated everybody. Doesn't matter where he played. But Steve Carlton was a superstar in Philadelphia and grew on each other. And everyone tolerated that. Shit, you guys hated Dick Allen. The Philly fans hated Dick Allen. But then learned to respect him and revere him. Especially when he went to Chicago and won the MVP award. Did you not? Right? Okay? Sills, you and I both know your first love is baseball. Football just paid the bills and still does. I'm a baseball fanatic, dude. I'm a baseball fanatic. You guys disrespected Dick Allen so much, he's talking shit to you in the sand at first base, writing letters to you and telling you to go F yourselves. He goes to Chicago, wins the MVP, comes back, whole different relationship with Wampum. Dude, I know the whole thing. I talked to Dick Allen about it. My favorite ball player. I love Dick Allen. 1 vote from the Hall of Fame. You put Harold Baines in and you don't put Dick Allen in, something seriously wrong with the idiots that vote in baseball. How is Dick Allen not in the Hall of Fame? Dick Allen. Okay, you don't put Dick Allen in the Hall of Fame, but you put Harold Baines. You put Edgar Martinez in, but you don't put Dick Allen in. Okay. Because Edgar Martinez was a better player than Dick Allen? Come on. MVP rookie. Dude, I don't have to go through it. Everyone knows how great he was. Okay. Yeah, I know, Chris. Racism played a gigantic role in all baseball players that were, even in the 80s. I told you the story. I talked to Barry Bonds numerous times about it. You know why Bonds, and Tone knows a little bit of it. You know why Bonds and Griffey Jr. never had great relationships with the media? But the only thing that Griffey had that was different than Bonds was a smile. Is that their fathers faced racism in the 70s. Bobby and Ken Griffey Sr. having the N-word thrown at them. Why would they trust media people when they grew up from the time they were 10 years old in the dugouts, seeing their fathers shit on? Why would they trust the media? That's why Bonds had an adversarial relationship with the media. The way they treated his father. His dad went to like 6 or 5 stops. His dad was a phenomenal ball player. 300 homers, 400 stolen bases. Bobby Bonds was a hell of a ball player. I mean, both guys. One guy played on the Big Red Machine. Incredible ball players. But they were kicked in the face with racism. Your fathers are called the N-word all the time, and the media people don't cover. You're calling Bobby Clemente? Who's Bobby Clemente? You mean Roberto? In Pittsburgh? Come on, man. Come on. You got to do the right thing. You got to act like a human being. But the writers, still to this day, to some extent, don't do the right thing. And by the way, you're driving African Americans out of the sport of baseball. You're driving them out. There's less blacks in the game today than there were in the 70s. Figure that one out. Okay? I mean, Mookie Betts is like the first superstar black player in Los Angeles in a long time. I mean, the home of Jackie Robinson. All right, let's before I get on to, I want to say this about Mike Tomlin. Before I get into Howie Roseman here. I can't believe Mike Tomlin had the success that he had in Pittsburgh when you got a pothead in Le'Veon Bell and a psycho in Antonio Brown. What Mike Tomlin did and all the winning that those guys did with those 2 psychos on the team is incredible. Can you imagine? You have to keep those 2 guys straight and those 2 of your star players. Plus, you got a quarterback who's in the lavatory doing stupid shit with women, and you got all of that going around. Hey, you know what's crazy too? Hey, if that's any other organization or that's Philadelphia, guarantee you that stuff's more public and those guys are castrated. But because it was the Rooneys and the Steelers, nobody really says anything. So you got a pot-smoking dude in the locker rooms before football games and Le'Veon Bell and a psycho in AB84. And people look at Mike Tomlin and go, that guy's not good? Mike Tomlin is a great coach. Isn't it funny? Le'Veon Bell, he goes somewhere else, completely shits the bed. He was terrible and burned millions of dollars away. Antonio Brown has never been – the year in Tampa was good because it got a Super Bowl, but he wasn't anything like he was in Pittsburgh. He never looked anything near, not even in New England. Well, for the 4 days he was there or whatever it was. Mike Tomlin, man, he keeps that thing afloat. If the Steelers lost Mike Tomlin, he's the most important man in that building right now. Shit, man, if Mike Tomlin ever left the Steelers, I don't care who my coach is, including Nick Sirianni. I'd call that guy in 10 seconds. And I'd go, hey, you want to be the coach of the Eagles? That'd be like turning down Tony Dungy. Hey, you want to be the coach of the Eagles? Well, who's your coach? Who cares? Nick Sirianni. Unless it's Andy Reid or Carroll or McVay or something like that, I would never not want to try to upgrade my coach, especially in an environment. Mike, absolutely, Tone. Mike Tomlin keeps the Steelers relevant. He keeps them relevant. And you know what else he keeps them? He keeps the culture intact, even though it's not the same it once was. Because the Steelers, you know what they used to do? The Steelers chase Lombardi trophies. Now they chase winning records. That's where they are now. You got a psycho that you had to deal with in that wide receiver. And you got a guy who was never focused, Le'Veon Bell, and they were two spectacular players for you. And you got the most out of them. My friends, that's coaching. That is the greatest example of coaching. Guys that weren't focused, guys who were lunatics. Did they play for you? Yes. Did you win? Yes. That's coaching. It's not all about shits and giggles, cashing paychecks and kissing cheerleaders. Okay? It's about all that shit behind the scenes. Okay? But 11 goes, Pittsburgh's a culture. Yeah, Pittsburgh's a culture because you know why? Why? Because the three coaches keep it that way. Noel, Coward, and Tomlin. Three coaches in 55 years have kept that thing the way it is. Stability. Pittsburgh is that way. Pittsburgh's a better franchise than Dallas. Pittsburgh is more relevant when it comes to winning games than Dallas. Dallas, the only thing they sell is the helmet. They don't sell winning. What else do they sell? When it comes to football, what do they sell a player? You could be on TV a lot. Okay. You could play the Eagles. Okay. What about championships? Well, we haven't been to an NFC title game in 30 years. Oh, well, then you're not really selling me anything. It's like this. It's like the Lakers selling me Sunset Strip now. You're not a very good team. You don't have any draft choices. You got an aging superstar in LeBron, and you got a guy in AD that shows up occasionally. But, hey, it's the Lakers. Yeah, well, that's not good enough for me. LaMarcus Aldridge even told them that one time. They were trying to sell him Sunset Strip. He's like, I don't know, man. I want to win some games. Look at over the last 20 years. They got that bubble win with LeBron, and they got the Disney trophy with LeBron in Orlando, right? Look at Kobe's last 7 years or last 6 years, and then look at LeBron's years in Los Angeles. You think the Lakers have been good? It's got to be the worst run the Lakers have had since they moved from Minneapolis. I mean, anyway, it's culture. This is what I was listening to when Howie Roseman was talking to Chris Long. Hire people that you like to go to work with and see every day in the building. Isn't that the simplest thing you can do? And you know what R.C. Buford said? And Howie goes, no, but what about? He goes, no. There's nothing else. JH1, thank you. He goes like this. No. There's nothing else. Hire people you love to work with. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have peace of mind at least. If the guy's not talented, at least you're going to have peace of mind. Hey, listen, it didn't work out. I love you to death. But we're in professional sports. Everyone understands that. Travel agent will be with you. We love you very much. Hey, I just bought a house. Hey, man, the travel agent will have your plane ticket. We'll ship all your stuff where you need. And good luck to you. This is professional sports. This is not daycare center. This is not appeasing people like we do in today's society. Making you feel good is not my job. You get paid, we pay you, and you have to go win us games. It's not about who you like. It's about doing right by you. Okay? So, hey, when you got to talk to somebody and somebody looks at you in the face and goes, hey, listen, we're releasing you. How would you like to, how about this release? Like Kevin Colbert's been on this and he told the story. So the D-line coach, Lamar Leachman of the Lions, okay, who coached Lawrence Taylor and coached Jim Burton, all them guys, was the D-line coach in Detroit. I started every preseason game. And this was me coming off a spring ball, getting my life back in order after I almost died from being sick with meningitis. Dude, I was on my deathbed. I was out of the game for 2.5 years, sick as a dog. I was in a wheelchair for 6 weeks. I couldn't walk. My girlfriend then, carried me to the hospital or I would have died. I had a biopsy done on me right in front of her. The priest came in and they were talking. They told my family, I don't know if he makes it. I don't know if he makes it. I was out of the game 2.5 years. I couldn't walk. I built myself back up. Galen Hall was the Gator coach back in the day when I killed his teams. He gave me a shot. I was like 20-something, 6, something like that, 7, maybe 7. I just had bad luck and bad decision-making for my NFL career. It was just, so he goes, you want a shot? Tracy Rocker was on that team. You know who I beat out? Tracy. Tracy was the first pick in the World League of American Football second draft. He was a number 1 pick. I beat him out. And they knew I was going to beat him out. Tracy came to me and he goes like this, I can't do it. But I knew Tracy had hurt his knee in Washington with the Redskins. Okay? I knew he had hurt his knee. Tracy won the Outland Lombardi. I thought he was a fine ball player at Auburn. And he and I sparked up a really great relationship. Shit, do you know who else was on that team? Some of you may remember the name Kevin Allen. I think you drafted him 6th overall. He was the largest man, was accused of raping an assistant coach's daughter, which wasn't true. Became friends of mine. I love Kevin Allen. Kevin Allen played at Indiana, I think. Okay? He played at Indiana. I don't know if you guys remember that. He was a big kid, man, 6'6". I mean, he had a waistline like this. I mean, this guy was a horse. Big as shit, man. I mean, a power guy, and I loved him. So I get there, man. I play. I make all World League honors. I do all this and that. The Lions sign me. I play every preseason game. They call me in. And this is how they do it to you. They called me in, and they went, listen, it was Ron Hughes at the time and Rick Spielman and Kevin Colbert. We don't want you to go. I go, okay, what is this? Why did you tell me to bring my playbook? He goes, because Wayne wants to do it. And I went like this, Wayne? Everyone, assistant coach, general manager, assistant to the general manager, president of the team. I was the last player. I walk into Wayne Fontz's office. He goes, I'm sticking with Lawrence Pete. We drafted him. Everyone went. So they kept me around for a while. I still have one of my bonus checks. I show it to you guys occasionally. And they kept me around for about 4 weeks so I can get the 4 games on my credit. But you know what they said? The travel agent? Thank you very much for being here, doing all you did for us. We know what you did. You started all 5 preseason games. We know how it's ended. Here's a check for $35,000. Da-dee-da-da. Your plane ticket's here. That's how they let you go, man. Okay? Yes, Neil. Correct. So it was they and years later, my wife met Wayne Fonts. We were at a Buccaneer event because he was an assistant coach. My wife, man, she's not going to put up with anything. She talks a ton of shit to me, but we were in this suite. I have Rich McKay sitting on the right, who's the president of the Atlanta Falcons at the time. We were playing the Falcons, the Bucks, and he's sitting there. It was alumni night. And yeah, man, Wayne Fonts looks over at my wife, who was my girlfriend, and goes, one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was letting Dan go. He was a great player. That guy didn't get up but 2 seconds, and my wife goes, hey, you know what? Fuck that guy. And Rich McKay goes like this. Did she just say fuck that guy to Wayne? I go, yeah, she did. He goes, that's a keeper. He goes like this. That's a keeper. I go, I know. I've been with her for like 10 years already. I've been with her now 30 some odd years. Yeah. So he goes, that's a keeper. I go, I know, Rich. Oh, man. NFL's rough business, my friends. That's why you got a great culture in Philly. I'm learning more about it. Let me tell you something that I learned also about Howie Roseman. I think you guys are really going to dig this. I'm listening to Chris Long talk to him. And do you know what Howie is doing now? He's getting ahead of the curve. And what I mean by that, he's getting ahead of the curve. Why do you think he drafted Nolan Smith? Why do you think he drafted Nolan Smith? What would be, okay? Why do you think he drafted him? What would be the reason? What would be it? So he can cut Reddick. To replace Reddick? Because they rated him high and he was there. By the way, there's no wrong answer, because all of these are great. To establish a culture and hedge against having to pay Reddick again. You guys are looking too micro. Look macro. Look macro, not micro. You're looking micro here. Be in the macro here. Remember, he's looking at something and he wants, see, look, you know what he said? So let me tell you something. He said this: if you see a team doing something in the Super Bowl and people go copy it, you're late. You're late. You're behind. He couldn't have been more right. The teams like New England who are out in front, those are the teams that win and put great cultures together because they're out in front of trends. He drafted Nolan Smith because the new trend is what? These dual threat quarterbacks. These guys that run around. These guys that are mobile. Chasing quarterbacks around. Not just getting to the quarterback any longer, but chasing them is going to be essential, which means the league is going to get faster, but it might get smaller. You see, the one thing with this Eagle team that you did compared to what they had a year ago, what's the one thing you have? Well, there's two things now. You're more athletic and you're faster. With that comes lack of experience. It's a pretty, when you listen to him talking, hey, I got Nolan Smith and Hassan Reddick. Yes, they may be smaller, and that's the notion that you're thinking. These guys, you couldn't put their hand down and play them as a traditional rush end. You can't because but those guys are going to be in third down nickel packages 71% of the time anyway. People running at them. How many teams are the Eagles going to face this year that are going to run the ball down their throat? that have an effective running game in the NFC? The Niners, maybe Seattle, the Giants. You understand this is why Washington was able, because they ran the ball. Okay? You need to have faster players today, especially at the perimeter, to not just get to the quarterback. To do what? Contain and set the edge. Nolan Smith fits that bill. Hassan Reddick fits that bill. You're faster now with dual threat weapons that rush the passer and chase the quarterback, aren't you, than you were a year ago? You're faster. Well, mobile Josh Allen. Trevor Lawrence is mobile. Dak at times can be mobile. Mahomes is mobile when needed. Yale goes, the league is moving back to the running game. Yeah, but with the quarterback being the catalyst in that instead of a feature back. The running RPO, now finding here, this is where he is thinking now, listening to Chris Long and him. The reason why you're not hiring these old farts any longer as coordinators like Mike Martz, and these guys can't get jobs anymore, is because the game's passed them by. Because why? You're effective more now with dual threat guys, because most teams live in a salary cap era now. You can't have full teams. By the strike of a lightning, and you get a chance to get a quarterback like Russell Wilson in the third or Jalen Hurts in the second, you get the ability to do what? Build your team. The teams that draft quarterbacks in the first round, well, you got a slower build than what the Eagles have because they were able to go and they were able to build their team because of a second rounder. And in that process, Howie saw where the league was going. He saw the Lamar. Actually, I would probably think it started with Kaepernick. And you started seeing these guys come in more. Hey, there's no doubt. Watch this. Josh Allen's just a bigger version of Jalen Hurts. Jalen's smarter. He's smarter in the way he plays the game than Allen. Allen's got to be more patient. Like Jalen is more patient because of the shit that he's gone through. I heard him say that too. One of the reasons that Jalen Hurts, do this. Do you know what failure teaches you? Failure teaches you patience. When you're sitting behind Tagovailoa and you want to say things and you want to be things and you have dreams of your own and you're sitting there and you're watching something happen, think of the patience that you have to have as a player watching somebody do things that you know or you believe you can do. And then being told you have to potentially go somewhere else. And then the Eagles didn't believe in him, or they would have drafted him in the first round, or somebody else would have. He's a second-round pick. He's not considered elite, nor was he. He was not considered elite. The Eagles didn't consider him elite. Now, you go like this. Sills, you're shitting on Hurts? Do you think anybody thought Tom Brady was elite? Okay? Ben goes like this: if you keep failing, all that does is teach you to be a loser. Really, Ben? So look at Ben, could never be in baseball. The greatest baseball player in the history of baseball at the plate when it came to hitting was Ty Cobb. And he succeeded at the plate 36% of the time. He had more failure in his life than he did success in his life. It's all relative, my friend. Once again, This is why you sit in the stands and I was down there on the Gladiator platform. It's why you sit in the stands. Okay? So what Howie's doing now, Howie is looking at the game 3 years from now. Okay? 3 years from now, what does he want to see his defense? Now, look, do you think you got more athletic and faster at the D tackle position? I do. Did you get faster and more athletic at the pass rushing when it came to your perimeter edge rushers? Absolutely. And you got Sweat still developing. And you'll transition out of Graham. I wouldn't be shocked next year if the Eagles went out and drafted a defensive end. Okay? I wouldn't be shocked if they went and got an end. And ends are going to be a high premium next year. Okay? So, again, to me here, Howie was talking about, yeah, man, I drafted Nolan Smith because the game is going towards having to chase these guys down. And if you don't have, how many times do you watch an NFL game where you see one of, like, look at Jalen Hurts, for instance. If I were the Cowboys, boy, I'll tell you what, I need another Micah Parsons. I need another Micah Parsons. Ray goes, Aaron Rodgers waiting behind Favre, and his interceptions are always low because he learned how to make better decisions after watching and waiting. Absolutely, Ray. Absolutely. And here's something else I want you guys to understand something about the media, and especially like the attack on Jalen Carter. So now there's some sort of erroneous Russian hoax story out there by the pathetic Athletic that is now saying that Aaron Rodgers wanted the general manager of the Packers fired. How asinine is that take? And you know what you'll get? You'll get all the white guys in the media defending the Athletic. Why in the world would the Packers draft a quarterback, turn around and give Aaron Rodgers, if they hated him so, a $150 million contract? Why in the world would they do that? Did it run out of gas at the end? Yes. But remember something. You drafted Jordan Love first. Then you gave Rodgers the contract extension because he had just won his 4th MVP. Okay? Yo goes, I haven't heard that. Really? All you got to do is look at the front pages of any. Aaron Rodgers wanted his general manager in Green Bay fired. An anonymous executive in the NFL, of course. Nobody can put their name to it because they don't have the onions or the balls to do it. So they'll make something up. Usually when somebody goes, an anonymous source, it's made up. You just make that shit up. Then again, it's the New York media. They got to put headlines out there. No one can double check that or fact check that when you put anonymous source. I mean, the Athletic acts like this, like CNN now. Why would you put a story out there like that? That again, are you just looking to shit all over Aaron Rodgers because he's a non-vax guy? Jesus Christ, get over yourselves. Get over yourselves. By the way, am I defending Rodgers? No. Rodgers is a tool. But what's the new news here? He hated the GM at the end, and the GM hated him. Congratulations. That's why he's a Jet. So you came up and concocted a story that he wanted him fired. You're like going back over dumb shit again that didn't exist, but you added a twist to it. Okay, so JM goes, my anonymous sources at NovaCare. Well, let me tell you who I know in the building. I know Jeff Stoutland and I know Tracy Rocker. And Sean Desai was also at the University of Miami. Did you know that? Hey, JM, did you know that Sean Desai was at the University of Miami? Did you know that? You got 3 people in that building You could just look behind me. That program, nothing goes on at that program that I don't know at the University of Miami. Nothing. I'm told every day what's going on, fundraiser-wise, nil-wise, recruiting-wise, play calling, who's going to be fired, who's not going to be fired. You want me to give you a little bit of a tidbit? Miami's going to play Utah. That's not public yet. That's for you. He didn't. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So he wasn't in recruiting. Sean Desai wasn't in recruiting at the University of Miami. Really? I think you better learn how to Google. Try Google. Google. And Kroll, maybe you can Google. Help you out a little bit there. Oh, man. So again here, he's thinking ahead of the game here. He's looking at the team 3 years from now. Can you imagine what that team could look like if these guys all pan out here? Look how young your defense is. So your edge rushers and your premium rushers are Reddick and Smith, and your two tackles inside could be mainstays. Could be mainstays for the next 15 years. Pretty amazing what he's doing. I thought it was one of the best interviews. Okay? I thought it was one of the best interviews. I love Sweat. I think Sweat is turning into one of the best three-down linemen you have. If I were to make the comment right now, Sweat's your best three-down lineman. Fletcher's probably second. BG's right there. Yeah, those would be your three best defensive linemen. I think Reddick is being used in the correct way. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they bring along Nolan Smith. Are you going to give him a lot? Are you going to give him a little? Are you going to put him in a position to win? Are you going to put him in a position like Tennessee put Javon Curse, rushing him like, third down, something like that? Okay. Tone, that's where I got it from. And Howie goes like this. Was he shocked? Was he shocked he was down there? See, I projected him to be around there because to me, I think he is that tweener kid. You just don't know. Can you really put him down in a? See, this is what they struggled with Reddick. You know what I really love what they're trying to do? They're trying to duplicate players. That's what the Cowboys have done. Do you understand? Do you guys understand when I say they're trying to duplicate players? Okay, this is what we did at Miami all them years. And we would try to get a Jerome Brown. We would try to get Cortez Kennedy. We would try to get Russell Maryland. And every time you watch guys on film like that and guys who make plays, guys who use their hands, guys who do all those kind of things, they kind of remind you of one another. And you see skill sets that remind you of that player. Cowboys are a great example of that. You look at the running backs that they've had, Zeke Elliott, Emmitt Smith, wide receivers, Des Bryant, Michael Irvin, go down the list, CeeDee Lamb. They look at guys. There's a reason that 88's now prominent there. They look at tight ends like Jay Novacek. They want pass-catching guys, not necessarily having to be in the run game. So they like duplicating because we made the comment the other day, Tony Romo, Dak Prescott. Do you guys see any difference? Maybe Dak protects the ball. I know last year he didn't. Okay. Maybe last year he didn't. But most of the yards, pretty even, right? Seals, who's better, Des Bryant, Michael Irvin? Okay, well, let me ask you, Cosmo. If you had to win a football game, a 60-minute game, would you want Irvin on your team or would you want Des Bryant on your team? I think it's pretty simple. Who would you want? If you had to win a game against a top flight DB, you're going to pick Des Bryant over Michael Irvin? I'm not thinking I would. Okay. I mean, to me, the best wide receivers I've seen in my lifetime, Jerry Rice is one. I played against Rice. I'll tell you somebody I thought was a bitch. You guys probably don't remember him. Man, but I thought Andre Rison was a really great player. I really thought Andre Rison was a great player. Obviously, T.O., Michael Irvin, Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson's better than Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison. Andre Johnson's a great player. I looked at Marvin Harrison and I saw Art Monk. Okay, you know what I mean? I saw Art Monk when I saw Marvin Harrison. It's no disrespect. Art Monk's in the Hall of Fame, or Marvin Harrison's a Hall of Fame player. Randy Moss, spectacular talent, probably the greatest talent in the wide receiving core of all time. Rice was the greatest receiver. Moss was probably the greatest talent. Larry Fitzgerald, another freak show talented guy, played with shitty quarterbacks in Arizona. Spectacular. And by the way, he was a nightmare, especially for corners. You almost had to have a guy. Darrelle Revis and him going against one another was something to watch. I'll tell you who used to kill a lot of wide receivers was Aeneas Williams. Aeneas Williams, man, that was a tremendous defensive back. He had size, speed, strength, hands, technique, and he had an attitude. That guy could play some ball, man. Calvin Johnson was special. Chris Carter, best hands maybe I've ever seen. I know the numbers that Andre Johnson Scott put up with shit quarterbacks is unmeasurable with the numbers that he had when he played in Arizona. Sterling Sharp was, I remember Sterling. I played college ball against him too. He was at, I believe, South Carolina, and we played him. I think his final year, and we made some all-star team together. South Carolina was independent then. They weren't in the SEC yet. They had just left the ACC, and they had to wait a year before they went into the Southeastern Conference. But I played against him. Then he went to Green Bay, and I think he got injured up there because he was on pace to do some really great things too. Sterling Sharp was a good football player. Largent, another guy that was kind of like Marvin Harrison, really reliable. Like Tim Brown, like that. I never thought Tim Brown was exceptional. You got exceptional wideouts in the game today. Tremendously skilled players. I think they're more skilled today. Or how about this? I'll take it back. I think they're more athletic today. They are as athletic as I've ever seen when it comes to the wide receiver position. Just as athletic as you could possibly get out. But again, circling back here. Here, let me take a time out. I want to close this conversation up on listening to Howie. It's really a classroom learning lesson and listening when how he sees the construction of the team. It's simpler than I thought. I may have been overcooking it a little bit. I'll tell you how. Next, please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.